$40,000. A Denny's booth in San Jose. 3 engineers. Today, $3 trillion. NVIDIA is the most valuable chipmaker in history, but the company almost died. 3 times. Sega pulled the plug in '96. Wall Street called CUDA a waste from 2007 to 2013. Mobile chips bled cash for years. Jensen Huang bet wrong before he bet right. This is the 30-year bet and the 3 near deaths that built $3 trillion. April 1993. A booth at Denny's on East Capitol Expressway. Jensen Huang is 30. He just walked away from a $200,000 promotion at LSI Logic. Across the table, Chris Malachowski, Curtis Priem. Both 33. 3 engineers, $40,000 in pooled savings. One thesis: 3D graphics will eat computing. They incorporate as NVIDIA. Don Valentine of Sequoia Capital writes a $2 million check. The quote that lives on: "If Jensen fails, I'll be looking for a new job too." First product, the NV1, released in 1995. It crammed 2D, 3D audio and video I/O onto one chip. Ambitious. Also wrong. The NV1 used quadratic surfaces, forward texture mapping on NURBS, for 3D geometry. The rest of the industry was about to standardize on something different: triangles. Microsoft was finishing a graphics API that would set the rules for every PC game for the next 20 years. NVIDIA had bet the company on the wrong shape. They didn't know it yet. September 30, 1995. Microsoft ships DirectX 1.0, the standard rasterization model, triangles, not NURBS, not quadratic surfaces. Triangles. Every game developer with a deadline picks the API that ships. NVIDIA's NV1 is suddenly obsolete on launch. Sega had paid NVIDIA for a follow-up chip, the NV2, to power its next-gen console. By 1996, Sega is watching the same wave. The Saturn ran on a different architecture. Sega cancels the NV2 contract. NVIDIA has roughly 100 employees, no revenue line that works, and a chip nobody wants. Jensen lays off about half the staff. 50 engineers gone. Cash position at the end of 1996, 9 months. 9 months before NVIDIA runs out of money entirely. Years later, Jensen tells the story to Stanford GSB. He says he came home one night and told his wife the company was probably finished. 2 things had to happen at once. NVIDIA had to throw away its core architecture. NURBS gone. The team would re-architect around triangles, and NVIDIA had to build the next chip without enough money to build it the normal way. They license a software emulator from a tiny startup to simulate the chip in software before they tape it out. It cuts the development cycle in half. 1 throw of the dice, 1 chip. They call it Riva 128. April 1997. Riva 128 ships, triangle rasterization, 100 MHz core, 3 million triangles per second. It beats the reigning champion, 3DFX's Voodoo, at 2D and 3D combined. Compaq, Dell, and Gateway sign as OEM customers. 1 million units shipped in the first 4 months. The other decision in that chip, quieter but bigger long-term, NVIDIA hands manufacturing to a Taiwanese foundry barely a decade old. TSMC. 28 years later, that partnership still runs every leading-edge NVIDIA chip on Earth. January 22, 1999. NVIDIA prices its IPO at $12 a share. Nasdaq ticker NVDA. It raises about $42 million. 6 stock splits follow: 2-for-1 in 2000, 2-for-1 in 2001, 2-for-1 in 2006, 3-for-2 in 2007, 4-for-1 in 2021, 10-for-1 in 2024. Multiply it out, 480 times. One IPO share is now 480 shares. October 1999. NVIDIA ships the GeForce 256. The marketing department invents a new word for it, the GPU, Graphics Processing Unit. Hardware transform and lighting on die. Then December 2000, NVIDIA buys 3DFX's intellectual property for $70 million and 1 million shares. The company that nearly killed NVIDIA in the mid-90s is now NVIDIA. The pivot worked, the death window closed. The next bet, the one that would actually build $3 trillion, hadn't even started. November 8, 2006. NVIDIA launches CUDA alongside the GeForce 8800 GTX. The pitch is unusual. Programmers can now run general-purpose math on a graphics card. Not just shaders, anything that parallelizes. Physics, finance models. Eventually, neural networks. Wall Street hates it. Goldman Sachs, Citi, and JP Morgan publish notes that say the same thing. CUDA is a distraction. Gaming pays the bills. R&D should go into faster pixel shaders. NVIDIA spends roughly $10 billion on CUDA between 2006 and 2016. 30% of revenue every year into a tool nobody is asking for. The stock pays the price. From 2007 to 2013, NVIDIA shares trade between $5 and $25 split adjusted. 6 years, flat. Underperforming the S&P 500. Jensen tells the board the same thing every quarter. Compute is the product. Graphics is just one workload. In 2007, NVIDIA spins up Tesla, the data center brand, to sell CUDA-only cards to research labs. Almost no one buys. Almost. A few academics at the University of Toronto build a neural network on 2 consumer-grade GTX 580s. Their names: Hinton, Krzyzewski, Sutskever. The bet is about to pay off. September 30, 2012, ImageNet. The annual computer vision contest. 2 graduate students and a professor, Alex Krzyzewski, Ilya Sutskever, Jeffrey Hinton, submit a model trained on 2 NVIDIA GTX 580s. It beats the next best entry by 10.8 percentage points on top 5 error. Not a margin, a massacre. AlexNet proves something specific. Neural networks scale with GPU compute. 5 years later, NVIDIA ships the V100, the first chip with tensor cores, silicon dedicated to the matrix math that neural networks need. The A100 lands in May 2020 at $10,000 to $30,000 apiece. Hyperscalers buy them by the rack. Then, November 30, 2022, OpenAI releases ChatGPT. Demand for NVIDIA chips goes vertical. The H100 ships at $40,000. 12-month waitlists. Every cloud company on Earth is buying. June 5, 2024. NVIDIA crosses $3 trillion in market cap. 13 days later, June 18th, it briefly passes Microsoft and Apple. The most valuable company on Earth, larger than Saudi Aramco, larger than the GDP of France. Jensen Huang's 3.5% stake is worth $110 billion. He still wears the same $8,000 Tom Ford leather jacket. 3 near deaths, 30 years. The bet that compute would eat the world was right, by about 25 years. Next week, how 3 letters destroyed Sears. Subscribe, The Hidden Ledger.